What's up, everybody? Professor Jeff here, and I'm here to talk to you today about one of our favorite anime, and that is the 1997 adaptation of Kentaro Miura's Berserk. Now, this adaptation is particularly special because it's perfectly illustrative of the existentialist philosopher Albert Camus' concept of the absurd. And Guts, playing the role of the absurd hero, must continue to fight and struggle in the face of a meaningless, indifferent universe. To begin to understand why this show is a great example of the absurd, we have to actually look at Camus' understanding of the absurd. Now, Camus was writing toward the end of the existentialist period in late modern philosophy, and this is really growing out of concepts of nihilism and meaninglessness that were originally started by Nietzsche, carried on by Sartre, and then really finalized with some of Camus' thought about the absurd. Now, for Nietzsche, the world had no inherent meaning, right? And this was nihilism. This is the basic definition of nihilism. However, he thought that there were two options for us. The one, active nihilism, and the other, passive. Now, the passive nihilist is the person who despairs in the face of the meaninglessness of the universe. The active nihilist, on the other hand, sees that meaninglessness as a blank canvas onto which they can create their own values and live a life that they find meaningful. They're unhindered by any of the concepts that came before them. They realize that they're empty. They're not intrinsic to anything. Now, Sartre saw this as a matter of building your identity, right? He thought that your essence was not set in stone, that the actions that you took in life actually created the person you are. And that's the Sartrean concept of nothingness, right? Where there is being and there is nothingness. And nothingness kind of represents our ability to choose and become who we are with a radical freedom. Now, Camus takes this a step further, right? He talks about the absurd, the absurdity of the universe. And that is the fact that the universe has no inherent meaning, and yet humanity continues to struggle to find and create that meaning without it ever actually being there. But he sees the struggle itself as the meaning. This makes a little bit more sense when we consider Guts' character, but there was a character that Camus had in mind specifically to illustrate this concept before Berserk was ever a thing, and that's the character of Sisyphus. So, in ancient Greek mythology, there was a king, Sisyphus, who was punished for his hubris, which is basically a form of arrogance. It's when mortals got a big head and thought that they were better than the gods, and Sisyphus was guilty of this. And of course, the Greek gods punished him for it, and that punishment was to push a giant boulder up a hill every day. And at the end of that day, once he strained and struggled the entire day to get that boulder to the top of the hill, it would roll back down, and the next day, he does it all over again.
To worry yourself. It was for my own sake that I did all that. It wasn't for you in particular. It's just my nature. I'd rather fight with my sword than run away, that's all.
So that's the only reason? You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
In the 1997 adaptation, okay? None of the other adaptations, and especially not the manga. I haven't completed the manga yet, so I can't even speak to that. But in the specific 1997 adaptation, we see Guts as a perfect parallel to the Sisyphean character. He has to constantly struggle, not just for his own survival, but to establish some meaning in his own life. There is a key arc, we could say, a mini arc within the story, in which Guts finally stops fighting just to survive and realizes that he has to fight for himself, to do something for himself. It may not even be to fight. This is the time when he leaves the Band of the Hawks. And that represents an important turning point in his relationship with Griffith, which really ultimately brings about some terrible things that I'm going to talk about in a second here. But a large part of Guts' initial struggle is against the indifference of the universe, the inherent meaninglessness that he realizes in his life, because he's come to a point where he is accepted, and he's gone beyond mere survival. We could think about this even in terms of, and this is what a perfectly written character this is, because the psychological reality of Guts' character is so strong. He's essentially ascended Maslow's hierarchy at the time that he leaves the Band of the Hawk, right? He has all of his base needs met. For those of us who are unfamiliar, Maslow's hierarchy has to do with a set of needs that need to be fulfilled for humans in order to become the best versions of ourselves. The bottommost rungs of the hierarchy are the easiest to accomplish, but they're also the most important. These are things like food, safety, shelter, water. And then as we get higher up the hierarchy, the needs become more complex, such as need for love and need for belonging. And belonging is the last one before a need for self-actualization, which is essentially an ability to determine your own path, to become the best version of yourself, to push yourself to something new and better and greater. So by the time Guts makes the decision to leave the Band of the Hawk, he has met his needs for his basic physical needs and his need for belonging. He has been accepted into the Band of the Hawk. People love and respect him as a leader. They respect his fighting ability. And now he starts to ask himself the big question: what do I want? What is my meaning in the world? And we don't get an answer for this yet. But this is when he really starts to struggle against the absurdity of the universe of which he is a part.
I rather enjoy settling things by force.
Griffith!
Leave us alone, Casca.
But...
No matter what, I will have what I want.
Now, Griffith serves as a perfect foil for Guts' character, and this is really a testament to the quality of the character and story writing on Miura's part here, because while Guts is ready to acknowledge the meaninglessness of the universe and is willing to struggle every day to determine that meaning for himself and to be satisfied with that struggle, Griffith has never seen meaninglessness in the universe. In fact, for him, there's only ever been one meaning, and that has been his ambition, his dream, finding that castle in the sky over which he will walk over the bodies of his friends, his comrades, his lovers. He will lay the corpses out like stones in the path to the castle. He has never questioned that goal. He has never strayed from that goal. It is the only thing that provides him meaning, and he is unwilling to accept the meaninglessness inherent in the world. And he trades even his own humanity to ascend to the next rung closer to that goal. And it's in those final 2 episodes of the series that we see the universe reveal itself as the absurd, indifferent monstrosity that it is. And this is wonderfully captured visually by the art in both the manga and the anime as demonic, essentially. And it's in that moment that we see our 2 competing characters demonstrate their different perspectives and approaches to the universe's absurdity, right? While Griffith has surrendered, he has subordinated everything to his ambition, he has sacrificed his friends, he has looked for a divine solution to a worldly problem. Guts, on the other hand, continues to struggle. He doesn't know what he's struggling for. He's just struggling. He's fighting against the absurdity of the universe, as symbolized by the monsters that appear during the eclipse.
Judging by the way you fight, it seems you value victory more than your own life. You never yield an inch, even when faced with a monster like Bezuzo, or outnumbered by a gang on horseback. On the contrary, you would rather recklessly engage any opponent that crosses your path. You are certainly brave, but I believe you purposefully put your life in danger and seek the meaning of your existence by battling to preserve it. That's what I see. You are fascinating. I find you much to my liking.
Ultimately, Berserk isn't about overcoming the absurdity of the universe. That's not what Camus would even have us do. It's about accepting and enduring it. Guts doesn't need the meaning to continue fighting. The struggle itself is the meaning. And with the mark of sacrifice now branded on him permanently, he has no choice but to continue to fight every single day. And as Camus says, in the myth of Sisyphus, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. And I suppose this is where the story may differ from the philosophical perspective. But do you think we could imagine Guts happy in his struggle? Let me know what you think. If you liked this, if you like media analysis through a philosophical perspective, if you like strictly philosophical research and discourse, give my channel a follow. I do this kind of thing a lot. Give the video a like if you like what you see here, and I will see you next time.